My name is Steve Eimers. This is a video for my friends in Ontario. This is my daughter Hannah. On November 1st, 2016, she was fatally pierced by a defective guardrail end terminal called the Lindsay X-Lite in Tennessee. Before Hannah's crash, the state of Tennessee had actually banned X-Lite because of similar piercing crashes and similar performance. It's only after her crash that they decided to spend millions of dollars to replace approximately 2,000 of these dangerous products from the roadside. I have been monitoring the situation in Canada and specifically in Ontario, and I've tracked, I believe there are about 200 to 300 X-Lites installed in Ontario. This is probably about 1% of your provincial inventory of guardrail end terminals. I've tracked most of those to a small town called French River, and most of these are on a new section of the Trans-Canada Highway, Highway 69. The X-Lite is inherently defective, and I want to tell you a little bit about its history. The Lindsay Corporation, Lindsay Transportation Solutions, and a company named Armorflex out of New Zealand ran testing on the X-Lite in 2010. They secretly used Lindsay's own crash test lab and concealed this conflict of interest from the province of Ontario, the government of the United States, and the state of Tennessee here. And this crash testing was run under obsolete testing standards that actually the NCHRP 350 standards expired 2 days after Lindsay snuck it in at the last second. They ran just 5 of 28 recommended tests on the 4 applications for the X-Lite. Their crash test reports, they falsified every single document. They lied. They lied about what happened in these tests. The 5 tests they ran, they made close to 200 to 300 secret, undisclosed changes and lied to the government of the United States, saying this was a full discussion. And they made changes to the energy absorption parts of the system, the head, the anchorage system. They tampered with every last bit of this system. The X-Lite system that you purchased in Ontario has never been crash tested. They failed probably about 10 crash tests by my count. At least one of those catastrophically pierced the vehicle. So Lindsay knew this was a problem, and from conception. They secretly, well, it wasn't secret, they ran a crash test on another product, but they lied to the government of the United States and said several of the same parts, which it didn't. And finally, in I believe it was 2019, they finally admitted that the system was not similar at all to X-Lite. Beyond the X-Lite crash testing, since testing, they've run additional crash testing, and it's all failed. The most egregious of this is probably XTL15. This was run in July of 2016. You have to understand the context. There had been 2 piercing crashes in Tennessee, which resulted in the deaths of 3 people. Tennessee was very alarmed and went to Lindsay, and they immediately ran this test, and they failed it. And then they concealed it. They concealed it from the state of Tennessee, they concealed it from the government of the United States, and they concealed it from you in Ontario. 4 months after Lindsay concealed this test, my daughter was pierced. Lindsay Transportation Solutions knew X-Lite was not crash-worthy, but yet they continued to sell it without consideration for the public, for the safety of the public. They placed profits over people. Since crash testing, Lindsay has made 300 to 500 secret changes to every single part on the X-Lite. Many of these parts have been changed multiple times. Despite being unnoticed by the government of the United States and multiple state DOTs, they didn't report or test any of this. The X-Lite is uninstallable, and Lindsay has produced probably 12 different manuals for the X-Lite Tangent, and many more for the flared system, and provided contemporaneous installation instructions that often contradicts their other installation manuals. The installation manuals show numerous examples of installations that would produce lethal outcomes by Lindsay's own account. Lindsay's training expert in 2015 in an email said, "I have never met one contractor that has installed the system properly without me being there to assist them first." Their audits of 600 systems in the United States found that 90% of them are improperly installed. This all goes back to Lindsay. They knew this was a problem, and it's traced to their own actions. But we have to deal with performance. The state of Tennessee said the X-Lite was resulting in unacceptable safety levels and wrote a letter to the Federal Highway Administration that I'm providing you. They noted the piercing problem, and Lindsay did nothing. At the time, I called the president of Lindsay Transportation Solutions, Scott Marion, and I said, I remember the conversation. I think we talked twice. He finally asked me not to call again. I asked him to recall this product because it was killing people. I said, Scott, this is dangerous. It's killing people. More people are going to die if you don't get this off the roadways. And he said, we're going to have to agree to disagree. You agree to disagree over pizza toppings. You don't agree to disagree when one of you is killing people with a safety product, Scott. But Scott's a Wall Street guy. Lindsay's a publicly traded company, and they place profits over people. Since I talked with Scott, I believe probably 40 more vehicles have been pierced. And these have resulted in injuries that are just catastrophic. Disembowelments, decapitations, people cut in half, disarticulations, just gruesome injuries. And they knew this was going to happen. Recently, Lindsay's own expert has testified that he has not been able to identify a single crash when X-Lite was impacted head-on at highway speeds where it did not pierce the vehicle. This is their expert testifying to a 100% failure rate. Families across the United States, Brazil, Mexico, and now Canada have been left maimed, broken, destroyed. Scott Marion and the Lindsay Corporation place profits over people. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'd like to see the MPP and MP work to secure funding for the Ministry of Transport to remove these 300 X-Lites from the roadside. You need to start on the left side at your highest speeds and then move to the right and work your way down. I'd also like to ask you, recently the state of Missouri, which is headed by AASHTO's president, Patrick McKenna, filed a lawsuit against Lindsay Transportation Solutions and others, alleging fraud and misconduct involving the testing of this product, and they declared the X-Lite a public nuisance. They said it was defective. I would ask that you refer this matter to the Ontario Attorney General for investigation for whether fraud and crimes have been committed against the province, and whether, as a result of these potential crimes, if this has resulted in the harm, serious harm of another person. Those that did this must be held to account. The Ministry of Transport deserves to know that their partners are partners and not thieves. People have died because of this product. People have been maimed because of this product. And Lindsay Transportation Solutions and Scott Marion, they knew this was going to happen. They didn't care. They were more concerned with pleasing the stock market than saving lives. They placed profits over people and people died. That's unethical, it's immoral, and it has no place in a civil society. Thank you very much.